What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another segment of Let's Talk Gaming. And like you guys already know, last week we had a guest in Let's Talk Gaming, and this week we're going to continue that tradition because we have another guest. We have Remington, and he also has a YouTube channel where he does a lot of video edits and everything.
Yeah.
His YouTube channel, of course, I'm going to post it down below in the link. It's called Hyperflex, and you guys can just visit it, check it out, subscribe, like, comment, and everything on there. His videos are incredible. That's where I get a lot of inspiration for my editing and everything too, because it is really, really cool. And he does a really great job with it. But, you know, we'll post the link up so you guys can check it out. But Remington, welcome to our segment.
Thank you for having me.
Of course.
Thank you.
But tell us a little bit about Hyperflex. Tell us a little bit about the editing and everything. How did you get into it?
So, I got into it about like 3 years ago.
Okay.
Actually longer, probably 5. And I just had a need to always want to edit games and stuff like that. And then I started with Last of Us 1.
Nice.
And then it just kept going, and I sucked back then. And then it grew and grew and grew, and now it's just become like a whole editing, just like tribute type of montage with Apex, Call of Duty, Last of Us, story-driven games,
do you have
like that.
Do you have in the channel the first video, The Last of Us?
Not anymore, unfortunately.
Right. I was gonna say, like, you can actually see the progress or the evolution of the videos from the first one to now.
I have from like, because I did some TV show ones too. Okay. I have from there, if you see that to now, it's
a big jump.
It's a night and day. Never thought it would be that hard, but
that's cool. That's cool. Well, yeah, like I said, we're gonna post the link so that way you guys can check it out. Tell us what you think and everything too on that. But yeah, like I said, welcome to the show. But let's start with, you know, what gaming is. We started last week with what is the gaming meant to us. You guys kind of know what gaming means to me and Nick and everything. But what does gaming mean to you, Remy? What can you say, like, when you think about gaming? What does it mean to you?
Probably the emotion it gives. So like when I play gaming, the main thing I love multiplayer. Don't get me wrong, it's mainly the story itself. Yeah. If a game has an incredible story, I'll love it to the end of time. Like that's what hits home for me. That's like I play games for like the single player experience. Like I love online, don't get me wrong, but I play to like it gives me the emotion to see what I feel and then what I can rate it.
I agree. I mean, somebody that can agree with you is Nick.
100%.
Yeah.
Because when it comes to story and emotion and everything in games,
it grips me. Like that's all it is.
Nick gets involved in the games, you know.
Man. I remember there was a game on 360 called Azura's Wrath, which was like an anime-based type of game.
Yes.
That game still sticks with me to this day.
Yes.
So that's one of the best games I've ever played.
One game that sticks to me in emotion, I always say, and I remember to this day, I played it on the GameCube, if I'm not mistaken. It was Metal Gear Solid Twin Snakes. And that game, for emotion and everything, the emotion that you felt trying to save the girl and the enemies, and then your brother Liquid and all that stuff. That was a game that actually gripped me in emotion and everything.
Metal Gear's really good at doing a lot of weird,
a lot of
things like that. Yeah.
But I mean, it's Kojima. If we're gonna talk about Kojima's a genius.
Yeah.
With everything he does.
Yeah, definitely.
And
that's one of the great things. It's the emotion that gaming brings, and I'm glad you brought that up because gaming. We said it last week. Gaming is a lot more than just playing video games. It's about how invested you can get into a game and the emotion that it can bring to you, and how it can just impact you. Like, you know, one moment that we shared is just, you know, when we all beat The Last of Us and the talks that we had and everything, which we are going to talk about in this episode. But, you know, little things like that just brought us a little bit, and the emotions
goes a long way.
The agreements or disagreements that we shared, you know?
People that don't even play the game.
Yeah,
that's right.
I played the game with my girlfriend in a room pretty much the entire playthrough.
And they can just look at it like it's a movie.
Yeah, and she was into it the entire time.
Yeah, exactly. It's just so crazy, and that's exactly what gaming does. It just brings that emotion and everything to you, and it's so great. But let's continue the video game talk, because how long have you been playing video games? Throw a number out there. When can you remember was the first video game you played?
22. So probably like 5, maybe 6.
There you go.
Sure, all the way through. I started with I think the very first Crash Bandicoot, so the 1997 one or 98, and all the way through, never stopped. I swapped around with consoles and stuff like that, but I played almost every single game, and I'm just very passionate with gaming.
That's exactly how
very
it is.
passionate.
It's like I said, I've been playing since '96 video games overall, So it's been a while since gaming has changed a lot. Since then, it's been quite an experience and everything for that.
Now you have crank TVs that mimic consoles.
It's crazy, right? Like it's so wild how gaming has evolved and since then. Where you can actually grab a cartridge, you blow on it and everything. Even though, fun fact, it doesn't do anything to the cartridge that actually it works and doesn't. It actually doesn't do anything. But it's just it's just that feeling that you're like, okay, let me get all that dust out.
Even I have the confidence.
Exactly. But that's what's cool about it, and I like that about the changes in gaming and everything. Mm-hmm. But in all your time in gaming, what is that one game? What is that one game that you can think of? It's your all-time favorite video game. That you can be like, damn, this is the one that brings me the memories. This is the one that I can think of all the time.
There's a lot. If I have to choose one, obviously it would probably be like a newer one, just because I've developed more and I understand games more.
No, I agree.
It would have to be still the first Last of Us.
Yeah.
Easily.
Yeah, there you go.
It's like adored it. It's one of the games that stuck with me. I literally beat it like 12 times, even though I know the story. Mm-hmm. I just kept playing it and playing it. I played it right before the second came out, continued. It's one game that does everything completely different. It's an experience you won't ever see.
I agree 100%. When it comes to The Last of Us, I mean, we know about The Last of Us overall. I mean, I have the tattoo of the fireflies right there. But Last of Us, it's just let's bring it back, the emotion that you get in The Last of Us 1. Of Joel and Ellie, the connection that they shared in The Last of Us 1 and everything. That is what Last of Us really made. That personally, I haven't seen in a game that actually gripped it as much as The Last of Us. Mm-hmm. There's been plenty of games that has done it well, but yeah, Last of Us is one game that just does it very well.
Yeah, I think I mastered it.
What do you think, Nick? What do you think of The Last of Us itself? Like, how do you feel about the first one?
So I'm weird. So I got my PlayStation when Spider-Man PS4 came out the same day. I bought that, and then I bought Horizon, Last of Us 1, and then I bought all the Uncharted because I was like, I'm gonna play these games. I'm not doing anything for the next 2 weeks. So I'm gonna run through them, and I didn't touch The Last of Us for 2 years.
Jeez.
I remember that you didn't touch it for a while.
I started it sometime in 2019 because that was when I was like, okay, I'm done with all the games and I don't want to play anything else, so I'm gonna start this game. And I went through that game, I'd say, in about like maybe 3 days. I just blew
because it was non-stop playing.
It was fantastic. After I got through that initial
the
2 or 3
opening
hours,
the opening
initial 10 minutes.
Yeah, bro. That opening of The Last of Us, I feel if you tell me that there's been another game that has a great opening, I won't believe you because there's no opening
like that
The Last of Us 1 has been. Like it's just so incredible. That opening of The Last of Us 1.
And that's where it comes back into the emotion.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what it is.
It grips you from the beginning. Mm-hmm. That's exactly what. No matter what you think, I know you're thinking.
Because I played a lot of single player games.
Yeah, no, I know. I played a lot of them too. But has there really been a game that actually grips you the way The Last of Us 1 did?
That made me that sad.
All right, no, not only sad because yes, it is a sad moment.
Yeah.
But that gripped you like The Last of Us 1.
Within the 10 minutes.
That I can remember, not immediately.
Right. I mean, there's been a...
I guess Azura's Wrath, but that's just personally.
Right.
But then again, that was because I played it and I was like, damn, I need to play it.
Yeah, no, of course.
But that was...
I mean, and don't get me wrong, like me, for example, I played and I still do all the Resident Evils, and I love the Resident Evil openings and everything that you're doing, especially Resident Evil 4, when you're coming into the village with Leon, and you have to beat everybody in the village and everything, and then when the bell rings and all the villagers leave, he opens up and he's like, what the hell is going on here? And then the opening comes up and it says Resident Evil 4. That is an incredible opening.
Great segment,
like, holy crap, this is how you should open a game.
What about the Ghost of Tsushima intro?
No, hey, Ghost of Tsushima. All right.
What a beautiful...
I agree.
Wow.
Ghost of Tsushima.
That was a good start.
Incredible overall. I agree. But it still does not beat The Last of Us 1. Like, it was a beautiful game, or intro, I should say, but it still does not beat The Last of Us 1. I feel like The Last of Us really...
Story-wise, I don't think there's a game out there that... I think what it is, it's the performance that we've gotten from Joe and Ellie, and the bond, like, it's just... No game kind of came emotion, close.
Yeah. It's that relationship that they shared that progressed through the whole game. Mm-hmm. It wasn't a short game either, because if you play it, it's gonna take you a while.
It's meaty time.
It took you about 5 hours to get to Ellie.
Yeah, exactly. To get to actually Ellie. Yeah. But that relationship that they shared throughout the whole game, that's what really changes the whole game, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. And it was just incredible, in my opinion.
I mean, as a counterpoint, I guess. I mean, but besides me saying it's my favorite game of all time, and what is my personal favorite intro of all time would have to be God of War.
Okay. God of War had an incredible, incredible intro, and I'm not gonna argue that.
That boss fight.
It's literally the craziest. Most God of War thing I feel like they could have done for an intro,
but I agree,
keeping it grounded.
It's God of War,
yes.
So as a God of War game, as a God of War game, yes, I would expect something like that.
Yeah,
which was just incredible. But we know what God of War is because it has had previous games. You've never played The Last of Us.
They didn't do what they've done with every other God of War game, though. They actually made it a family-oriented situation. They completely got rid of all the hack and slash.
Smartest thing they did, personally.
It is the smartest thing. I don't think I would have played the game as it did.
Back then.
Yeah, back then easily.
Yeah. No, and I 100% agree.
You could say The Last of Us fight it. They really did that. Or
because of the opening that they tried to do, and I agree. They did a really great job with it, but overall, I just feel like it just lacked that emotion that The Last of Us gave us.
It's not very. I say the only part that really made that entire situation any emotion whatsoever is the fact that you're like going through the situation with like his wife. And this guy's mom. And then when you're fighting the dude and stuff like that, his son is in the building.
Yeah, his son is in the building. So you're trying to protect him the whole time and everything.
Exactly. That's the only emotion in it.
Yeah,
really.
in that ending when you see Kratos all beat up and everything. So I agree. No, overall, but. Think about The Last of Us. Spoiler alert for those of you who haven't played The Last of Us 1.
It's been about 8 years.
Yeah, most likely you have.
If you haven't, then you're out of luck. But when it comes to The Last of Us 1, that you've never seen The Last of Us. Obviously, it was the first game. So that opening that you're playing, you know it's a post-apocalyptic game. So you're going through the city, and you're trying to protect your daughter and everything. So you're running away and everything, and you see all the commotion, explosions everywhere happening, people running around, these things attacking other people. So you're like, damn, what the hell? So you're running with your daughter, and you know that's your daughter already because you played as her. So it's all that crazy thing. And then you get to the part that the guard shoots you.
The irony.
He misses, but he shoots your daughter. That emotion, and the emotion that you saw in the little girl. Tell me that's not
so
what really
okay, fine. All right, so story time. You want to go there anyways. We're gonna do it. I played that whole intro. I cried.
There you go.
There it is. That's what it is.
Wait, that's not it. I restarted the entire game. I brought in my brother, my dad,
Holy crap!
Here we go. The whole team.
My brother, my mom, my dad, and they all watched it and they all cried too.
Holy
so, yes,
crap!
I feel like if you mentioned that in general, yes, that would probably be the most like.
Now that's a good story.
Impacting. They sat there for the whole 15 minutes, which is rare.
Yeah. That's a good story right there.
But,
like to be honest with you, I mean, everybody that was around me at the time that I played it, I brought everybody to see the intro also because it's an intro to watch in a game.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like you're playing a game. It feels like you're watching a movie while controlling it and everything.
Exactly what it is.
And that's what The Last of Us is the emotion that it brings you, you know? And it's just so incredible.
Yeah.
But anyways, we're getting out of topic. But it's just that.
Last of Us.
Literally. But that's the emotion that we have about video games, and I feel like The Last of Us really. If you haven't played it, please pick up a PlayStation 4, grab it, and
all the games are like $15 right now.
Yeah,
easily.
like 10 for freaking Last of Us 1. No,
yeah.
like,
play both.
Super cheap.
Play both.
Yeah, but The Last of Us 1 really, it's that game. I mean, I got a tattoo of it, so how the hell?
All of them are on
forever.
PlayStation Hits too, so you should be able to grab them for
that too.
On what's it called? On the PlayStation Store whenever they throw discounts out there.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, but Last of Us definitely. But anyways, today's topic was supposed to be story-driven games, and Last of Us fits right into that.
Yeah.
But story-driven games, and it's not only the story itself. It's like, what was your favorite story of any video game that you've ever played? What was your favorite story? I mean, I kind of already know Remy because we already talked about it right now. So, but I mean, Remy, what do you think? Is it still The Last of Us of campaigns?
It's Last of Us still ranks. If I have to rank another one, it's a hidden gen game. It will be Spec Ops: The Line.
Spec Ops.
You like it? You like it?
You're gonna make him cry.
I want to talk about it.
There you go.
I want to talk about it. All right.
There it is.
Underrated game. One of the greatest. One of the greatest hidden gems I've ever seen, and it sucks because ratings wise, that game. Slammed.
It got tanked. Yeah, it got tanked.
Slammed. And sales rate, it sucked, but the game was so good. And like I said, just like Last of Us, this is such a different game because one, it's a war game, so it's normal. But it's a war game that you don't expect,
everything
and
that
that's
happens
what
in it.
I
Everything
love.
that happens in it.
That's what made the game. And then one specific scene was the white phosphorus.
The white
scene.
phosphorus.
Isn't that the
One
scene?
of the
That's
darkest-
Isn't that the scene?
If you go on
darkest
YouTube and type that in,
games.
it's nothing
Yeah.
but
Literally the darkest scenes in any video game.
Yeah.
Like besides what any other
Obviously,
game, but like
yeah.
that is one game that just
It
it,
goes down in
slams
history,
right
yeah,
there.
definitely.
There's nothing like it. And
We're actually, because we're talking about it, I'm going to post a link in the description so you can see just that scene. I'm going to post the link of just that scene so you guys can
Jesus.
understand. If you've played Spec Ops, you kind of understand
Yes.
the emotion
I
and
will
everything.
say, just completely out of. I mean, we're gonna talk about it regardless. 'Cause this has to. You mentioned it. You know,
you know what I'm talking about.
you
Yeah, I
figured it.
know.
You can't get it for super cheap. I think it's maybe
No.
less than $5 at this point because I've picked it up for $5.
Yeah, I have it for
Again,
literally $3.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ben, what were you gonna say?
No, yeah. So I mean, that's exactly what it is. It's the emotion that it brings, and Spec Ops really did that.
Mm-hmm.
The ratings weren't great, but do we really go by ratings? Do you actually try games before you actually see any reviews or anything like that? Because Spec Ops, like Remington said, it is a hidden gem.
Yes.
So it's one of those games that nobody really talks about or nobody really knows about until you get somebody that actually played it and you understand.
That was literally so
good.
So that was one of the few games that I followed when they actually announced the game, when they were showing
Same.
it at E3 and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Yep.
They had the whole Sandstorm is going to interact, and I was like, all right, this looks really sick. They were showing it. I think I had like the first or second Game Awards, and I was like, when this comes out, I'm definitely going to give it a try. I bought it like a month or two after release because of whatever else I was playing. And that is one of the few games that I've ever played that actually has a military campaign that I
Yes.
remember to this day.
Yep.
Yes.
And not only that, but
Yes.
I went through the game all 3 times, even though you could technically just restart from the checkpoint and then do all 3.
And do it all again.
But if you actually play through the whole campaign and then start again at the beginning, you will see such a vast difference in how the game progresses.
Everything,
And
yeah.
it's just... It's I guess you could say it's like a game for adults because
Yeah.
it's not something that
No.
anyone's going to grab
it's
at
not.
a
It
release.
is not for kids.
Definitely do not play it unless you have honestly like a mentality on.
A stability.
What to see for that,
Yeah, you need
Yeah.
a mental. I don't know.
You need like a
stable
mental
mind. A stable mind. Let's say
At the time, I was stable.
because it's one of those games that really,
Yep.
really, really gets you. To
the
be
gameplay.
honest. Yeah.
The gameplay's fine. It's a shooter.
It's not
a
bad.
third-person
No.
shooter.
For being a shooter, it's not bad. But it's all about the story. We're
Yes.
talking about story.
That's another thing.
We're
too.
talking about story.
I think that's what makes it so impactful to me is the fact that not only is it a game that they came out the time and it was from Jaeger, so it wasn't like a big
Yeah.
studio, but it was a studio.
Not at all, yeah.
Is the fact that the game got so much praise for the story, people didn't really talk about the controls.
Yeah.
Normally they're like, oh yeah, the controls interact the story.
Nah.
That is not the case
No.
with this game. This game is amazing.
And and it's one of those things like just think about war games or any first-person shooter game, story-wise. Like we all know about Call of Duty. We all know
Battlefield.
the Modern Warfare. Battlefield, obviously, and all that stuff. But those are the main known ones. What war game have you played out there that just has that impact on you? Because if anybody thinks about it, what was the biggest one? Call of Duty. It was Modern Warfare 2, right?
Yeah, no
Would you
Russian.
say
Modern
out of,
Warfare 2?
out of,
And no
out of
Russian.
campaign, right? Out
No
of
Russian.
campaign.
Oh, which is gonna be
on
free soon?
PlayStation Plus. Yeah,
Yes.
it's gonna be free on August.
Yeah, that's
but
gonna be fun.
but what I'm trying to get at is there hasn't been a game that really impacted you like Spec Ops in a war game, I should say.
No, definitely not.
Because I don't think if you played it, then you understand. If you haven't, please even if you don't play it, just look up the story overall and you'll understand. Because that game really feels different than just a war game.
Yeah.
I would say.
Yep.
I mean,
The weight of it.
Yeah.
You feel everything you're seeing.
Yeah.
And the acting with Nolan North and the other two,
Yeah.
incredible.
the cast is superb.
like,
and,
yeah.
beauty.
It's
beauty.
incredible.
Man,
Oh,
they
man.
Even, they even do things to this day that they don't do in current console games, which is like if you're playing throughout, like of course, like let's say you start the game or whatever like that, and you just listen to them talk. As the game goes on, you will hear him change his language.
Yep.
You will hear him start cursing and stuff like that. You'll hear him yell
Because
at
of
the
the
mic and stuff like
positions and
that.
everything, yeah.
Yeah, like they actually progress.
Yep.
I don't see that often in games
No.
personally. I can't recall
Nowadays is really tough. Yeah. Nowadays is really tough.
Another thing that caught my eye to that game from a lot of other games is as you're progressing through the story, their clothes start to get more tattered up. They have like
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
pain like
the
through their
Batman
eyes.
effect that they
Yes.
Batman took
That-
over.
like,
Yeah,
Batman was
exactly.
the one game that had that. This game perfected it
before.
for a war
Yeah.
game type.
Yes.
You know,
He
like
did
that's
before it.
that's something that is another thing that I think this game was like ahead of its time.
Yeah.
for when
This
it
game
came out.
actually came out the same year as Last of Us.
Yeah, it did.
Which is crazy.
It was right before it. It
Yeah.
came no right after July, and I think Last of Us came out in June.
But think about that. It's probably getting overshadowed by big games.
Oh, of course.
Because you really, I mean, we didn't know about The Last of Us, but once you played it, you understood because of that opening.
Exactly.
But it's one of those that that year, a lot of big games came out and whatnot, but Spec Ops is the hidden gem. Again, is that hidden gem that nobody really knew about, but once you played it, you're like, damn, bro, what the hell?
They made it backwards compatible too after
Hidden Gems are honestly one of the games that I love the most.
Yeah, no,
I find a lot of hidden gems that are one of the greatest and
I agree.
never
no,
touched.
100%. But campaign wise, like I said, I'll post the link down below so you guys can see what we're talking about on Spec Ops and whatnot. But Remy really brought the feels on that one there.
That's a game that I still have on my Xbox.
It stays, man. It stays, bro.
Nick, what would you pick for story-driven games or any story of a game that you've played that really has impacted you? What would be that one story that you would say?
So, I mean, God of War is gonna stay God of War for what it is. Obviously, that's still gonna be my favorite.
Yeah, of course.
General story because I personally love Norse mythology. I'm wearing a Smite shirt
Amazing.
today. But I'd probably have to say like Azura's Wrath, just because I'm really into anime. I love how anime takes stories and they make it emotional to the point where you can feel the emotion and you feel with the characters
you connect
and stuff like that.
to the character, right?
It's amazing. And Azura's Wrath is, I think, the only anime game that I've played that actually takes the game and turns it into anime episodes with a prologue and epilogue, and then you progress.
And then the episode, technically.
Yeah, and then you could beat the game as a whole. You beat it, and then you get the ending, and you're like, oh, that's pretty cool. I actually like that. But that ending wasn't what got me. It's the fact that you could buy DLC ending and just get jabbed in the feels for a good 30-40 minutes with such a wonderful ending that I actually re-downloaded it on my Xbox One and played the entire just to get to that ending once more because I was like, I just want to see this again. It's been many years, and I actually remember I bought that game off an eBay seller when it initially came out.
The original.
Wow, that's the way.
Because I was like, oh, I've always wanted to play this game, but I don't know. I never thought of it. And then I got it, I played it, and I beat it like in 2 days.
Yeah, and those are, and again, I feel like Azura's Wrath wasn't really a big, well-known game for what it was at the time. So it's one of those, again, hidden gems that you really didn't know about until, again, you played it. Because there's so many other games that overshadowed it. And if you're a gamer, then you kind of understand that playing games doesn't mean just follow the trend of the big games that is out there. Is play everything that is out there because you might find that one game that you didn't think that you were gonna like because there's been many games that I've played that I've been like, holy crap, this game is really great. I actually just finished a 2D platformer called The Messenger on Game Pass.
I heard about that.
And that game was just incredible, and I was like, I would never in my mind think of just playing this game, but I give it a shot, and look, it's one of my favorite games now. So games like that, that just brings you
grip you out of nowhere because you're not expecting anything.
Right.
That's what
so
it is.
It's just incredible overall. But Azura's Wrath, definitely, it's one of those big games that if you haven't tried it, do it because it's gonna be a big story-driven game.
And if you like Street Fighter, they're in Street Fighter.
They are in Street Fighter.
They are. Yeah, you're right.
They are in Street Fighter. But for me, to be honest, I mean, there's been many. If we're gonna pick one, I will have to say Resident Evil, but I will actually pick a single Resident Evil, and it's not 2, it's not 4, even though those are my 2 favorite ones. I will say Resident Evil 7, just because Resident Evil 7 story-wise was different. It's different than any other Resident Evil that has ever come out before that. Okay. And first person. So you actually get to be the character rather than control the character. So I feel like that's a little bit different. And when I'm talking about story driven, it's the changes that Resident Evil brought as a whole.
Yep.
And I feel like Resident Evil 7 captured that because there's been so many changes in Resident Evil story from the first one to, let's say, 6, that we saw a lot of horror in the first 4, and then 5 and 6 went more action based with Chris Redfield punching a big boulder inside of a volcano trying to beat Albert Wesker.
Homie was Winter Soldier for
Literally.
2 games.
Like, that was just incredible. But and of course we're not gonna talk much about 6 because 6 was just an action game rather than a horror game.
Yeah.
But
still fun.
Still a good game. I really enjoyed Leon's story. That was my favorite one. But Resident Evil 7 brought it back to the roots. It just brought it back. It just like when I picked up the remote and to play Resident Evil 7, I felt the emotion of getting back into a horror Resident Evil, because after playing 5 and 6, having that action, which was cool, you know, it was different.
You want to go back,
but I want the horror. That's what really got me into Resident Evil. You know, playing Resident Evil 2 through the city with Leon, Claire, and everything, playing that and having those zombies, having the jump scares and all that stuff. That was the emotion. You know, that horror emotion, because we're talking about emotion, so horror is really what gets me. But Resident Evil 7 really brought that horror aspect back to the Resident Evil genre, you know? And having a new character, following a new story, but if you actually look into the story that you're playing, it actually mentions a lot of the stuff from the previous games. And at the end, you actually see a returning character with Chris, and you see Umbrella Corporation that was completely changed because it was destroyed before.
Yep.
So a lot of the stuff happens, and then you play the DLC that actually explains a little bit more of what happened. So that's what really gets me. So Resident Evil overall, it's that one game that I'm always gonna, you know, have feelings for, of you know, that aspect that it gets me. But you know, I mean, you guys played Resident Evil. I know you don't play too much horror, but
I played it. I've actually watched a standard playthrough of the game, then I watched a VR playthrough.
Yeah, I played it in VR, which was amazing. That was my first time beating it actually, and then I 100% completed it just normally. So yeah, I played that game a lot. But Remy, what do you think of Resident Evil?
I'm with you. I've always loved Resident Evil. 6 was good. It kind of disappointed me because I wanted the horror aspect.
I agree.
4 was great. 5, you know, did its kind of action, kind of horror.
Yeah.
7, I think the reason for me is the first 2 hours were one of the best, like, impact, like, to grip me in. Like, the whole thing with Mia going missing and then how she's, like, possessed and everything. Beauty. And then the first person change, incredible.
Which I thought it was going to be a problem.
I was scared.
I thought it was going to be a problem. I prefer it, exactly.
I was scared. I was like, this is going to be risk. And I remember, this is before I even worked where I do now. I remember going everywhere to like GameStop, Target, Walmart, Best Buy. Could not find it anywhere. Yeah. Literally empty. And I'm like, bro, where is this game? Yeah. So I just decided, I was like, all right, I'm going to get on demand. Got it. And I played it. And it was one of the best games because it was such a different game. And I played it, beat it maybe like 4 or 5 times. And
it was one of those that you really didn't feel it was a Resident Evil game.
No,
but
it took you away from it. It felt completely different. And you know you're playing Resident Evil.
Yeah, exactly.
But it just doesn't feel it because the story is so different. Yeah, like, and I thought the family, the Baker family was very interesting. I thought they were well cast. I mean, Jack Baker was amazing.
The psychological horror on Jack. Oh
Beauty.
My God.
Completely different.
Yes.
It was so weird.
It was unexpected.
And having that aspect of Resident Evil 3, bringing it back to 7 of the bad guy following you where you
continuously.
Go. Yeah, well, like Nemesis following you. Now they brought it into 7 with Jack Baker following you everywhere in the house, and you could hear him. And that's the horror, you know? Like you never knew when Nemesis was gonna pop up. So you never knew when Jack was gonna pop up. And when he came out of the wall the first time, and you were there, like, holy crap!
The fear of turning around and be like, I gotta get out.
Exactly. Like, and then when you were like under the house and he was like walking on
creaking,
top. Oh my God, that's what I love about horror games. I can just sit here and talk about horror all day. But
we'll do that one day.
Yeah, no, exactly. We'll do a horror episode one day, but. Definitely Resident Evil was that one game. And Resident Evil 7, for those of you who haven't played it, give it a shot. It's a completely different story than most of the other ones, but if you pay attention to a lot of the stuff that happens in-game, a lot of the stuff from the previous games is mentioned in Resident Evil 7. And, like I said, at the end, you get a returning cast with Chris Redfield, and you see the Umbrella Corporation that was changed. So I'm very excited to see what Resident Evil 8 is bringing, because it's actually continuing this story. With Chris and everything.
Excited.
With werewolves.
Excited,
so,
bro.
I'm very excited for that.
That'll look fun.
But that's gonna be a big event in my opinion. So Resident Evil 8 is gonna be the big game for me personally. Yeah. But we have a lot of games coming out later in the year. Let me talk to Remy about what games are you excited about?
There's 2 main ones.
Okay.
One's one of my favorite franchises, Assassin's Creed.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm nervous about this one because I wasn't like I liked Odyssey, but I wasn't like too big. I like how they're going kind of back to its roots. It seems like it's more towards like the Creed
I'm very
type.
excited, yeah.
So I'm excited for it, and I think Viking era is something we don't get in games. The other game that, besides Last of Us 2 and Ghost of Tsushima, because Last of Us 2 was my most hyped game out of this year. Besides those two games, it would be Cyberpunk.
Cyberpunk,
of course.
Easily would be Cyberpunk.
Cyberpunk.
And the reason I think for me,
Exactly.
the reason for me is like my first CD Projekt game was Witcher, which I have a tattoo of now. Witcher 3, and I fell in love with it. One of the, I think it changed the way we look at RPGs as a whole. It changed the way we look at story-driven side missions, everything. Open world in general.
It made it unique.
It made an impact on gaming community as we see it, kind of like what Last of Us did, I think. And Cyberpunk is gonna be. I heard it. I know they say it's smaller, but it's more dense.
Yeah,
and that's something that's very interesting.
But why is it smaller? Do you know why it's smaller?
Well, I know that they were focusing to like let you access more buildings.
Exactly, and that's what's crazy.
The map is packed and it has a bunch of different districts and stuff like that.
And we talked about it in one of our episodes. That the map it's smaller, but it's because you're actually gonna access so much. We talked about Grand Theft Auto. Grand Theft Auto did it in a sense that they made a humongous map. But how many buildings can you actually access?
Yeah,
none.
They just made it so
the stores and gun shops.
You could like talk to people and see like they pretty much they populated the city, which is nice.
Yeah,
but I feel like this game is doing the smarter route, which I mean,
interacting with everything is awesome.
and then pack the map.
Exactly.
You're and then put districts.
You're making it into a smaller section, but you're actually having access to pretty much most of the section and everything, which I think CD Projekt Red it's really good at doing it anyway.
Yeah,
we saw it with The Witcher, so we saw how Witcher, yes, it was a big game, but you had so much to do in that game. I mean, over 200 hours. Come on, man.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's like you have so much to do in that game, but Cyberpunk is definitely the big game for
out of this year. Yeah,
Cyberpunk is the game that we're excited for.
Oh yeah, I talk about it.
Every day.
I mean, you got
every day I go on YouTube.
Every day.
Watch a video. Like usually when I wake up, I'm like, oh, let's see what's new on YouTube today.
Cyberpunk.
Oh no.
Yeah, that's
Cyberpunk
gonna be
is where it's at. To be honest,
that's gonna be the one.
I'm very excited. New consoles coming out at the end of the year, so we're all excited for that. Obviously, PlayStation 4, Xbox Series X. I said PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5.
There it is.
Xbox Series X.
It's like writing 2019 on
I know. I'm
paper.
sorry. It hasn't come out yet, so it'll stick. It'll stick. But Series X and the PS5 are gonna be the consoles to beat. We're also gonna do a little section on our website. I guess we can close it out here, but I guess we're gonna do a little section on our website because we want you guys to understand the consoles are not just gonna be the consoles. You need the right hardware. I think we've said it many times in our episodes.
I'm a very big advocate for this.
You need the right hardware, so we're gonna do a little section on our website to see what are the right hardware, meaning televisions, so you can actually play the consoles the right way. Because you not only need a 4K TV, you need a 4K TV that supports 2.1 HDMI and supports 120 frames, so you can actually see the games as they're supposed to be played. So just stay tuned for that. We're gonna post a link, or we'll talk about it once we have that section up, so you guys can see it and understand, the differences and everything on that.
Yeah, we'll kind of throw it down and make it a little bit more compartmentalized. I think is the right word. So it's not like you don't have to go bouncing around the internet to get your information.
Exactly. Yeah. But yeah, no. I want to thank you, Remy, for coming into the show. It was amazing talking about that, even though we spent most of it on Last of Us.
Yeah.
But it's what we like. It's what we like. But I appreciate you for that. Like I said, go check out Hyperflex, Remy's YouTube channel on YouTube, obviously. And we'll post the link right down below so that you guys can see the video edits and everything that he does. Maybe we'll do a video edit together one day.
Yeah,
so
we need to, bro.
We can definitely get together on that. We actually have a trip coming up next year, and we're actually going together. We're going to Tokyo, Japan.
Gonna be lit.
So it's gonna be incredible. We're actually gonna be streaming from Tokyo, so you stay tuned. Obviously next year. So we'll keep you updated with everything that's going on in Tokyo. And we'll let you know, what goes on, and we'll be recording from over there too. Even though I'll have to FaceTime or call Nick through video.
I'll be like, "How's it going, guys?"
But we'll do a little international episode. Let's say that. But yeah, no, thank you for everything.
Of course.
Hyperflex on YouTube. So I'll post the link down below. Go check it out. So we can get everything going on there. All right.
Yeah. Check the description like always. Everything's gonna be down there. Links for his channel, links for Spec Ops trailer, and some other stuff we're gonna have in the description box just in case. And don't forget, if you're ever interested in a little bit of merch, the quality on shirts is fantastic. It does feel a lot better than I expected it to be. And I thought the print was gonna be a little bit like sticky, but thankfully
thank God it's not.
Yeah.
It's actually
doesn't look sticky.
Really solid. It's completely different than this type of material, which is exactly
which makes you sweat.
Yeah.
Which makes you sweat.
Literally, one whole sweat spot right there.
Thankfully, it's on the front of this.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, we'll leave it out there, and we'll see you guys later. And don't forget to pass the joystick, guys.
All right. Thank you, guys.